Please rise. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everybody.
Such a gentleman.
Welcome to the supervisors meeting, July the 12th, 2022. Is there any changes to the agenda?
I have none.
I have none. Somebody run off my pens again.
I wasn't there.
I'll get you one.
Change one. No changes. Meet with department heads and elected officials. Sarah Doty, the payroll in the auditor's office.
Good morning. I'm just working on getting everything switched over for the fiscal year.
Thank you, sir.
Other than that, nothing new to report at this time.
Okay, thank you. Colin Gertz, IT.
Good morning. Nothing really new to report, just keeping busy like always.
Kind of busy over the weekend though with that Kyler and that, so,
Yeah.
yeah, you was busy, so.
Yeah, I've had to try to get that back going, and the goal was to get it up by Monday so Sarah could get the payroll and everything done.
Yes,
so.
thank you, because Friday put me.
I thought about teasing the auditor's office, telling them it was gonna be down for a couple weeks, but I figured probably not a good idea, so.
You do get a paycheck too.
Well, Colin, we appreciate everything you do for us.
Thank
so. Rodney Blazer, maintenance.
Good morning, nothing new to report this morning.
Okay, thank you, Rodney. Lisa Schaefer, county attorney.
Nothing new to report, just keeping a manageable level of busy.
Just manageable. That's, at least that's staying on top of it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Lisa. Jared Laster, Southeast Iowa Regional Planning.
Morning. I'd say yesterday was a especially busy day for land use inquiries. For whatever reason, these things seem to come and go like all at once like that. But nothing major. Just keeping busy as usual. We do have a zoning commission meeting tonight with a subdivision on the agenda, and then we've got 2 minor subs on the board agenda for today. So that's all I have.
Okay, thanks, Jared. Chris Lee, Conservation.
Good morning. Just a note to the public to ask questions, all that tree clearing and excavation that's happening at near the entrance to Starscape, that's not us. That's outside of our park, so that's the neighborhood owner. It looks like a disaster. But, so anybody that asks, that isn't us, those trees. Otherwise, just busy park season. The parks have been good and busy. Had a great 4th of July weekend. Behaved. Good visitation at the parks and lots of numbers. We are working with our local foundation to put together a raffle in celebration of our 60th anniversary. We're calling it our 60 for 60 raffle. We will launch it on August 13th. At our summer celebration event at Starscape. We'll start selling tickets there. We'll sell them through October 13th, which will be at the Partners Foundation's banquet at Parkside. We're going to have 60 different prizes. They're going to range from canoes and kayaks to grills and hunting, fishing, hiking, biking gear, that kind of stuff. So everything.
What's the smallest? What's the smallest yet?
Well, we don't have all of the prizes built yet, so we're still soliciting those. So I'll get back to you on that.
Bag of potato chips for him.
Never won anything big. I'm gonna contribute, but I'm just planning on winning the marbles. So
Right, yeah, there we go. The plan is that every prize will be worth at least about $100 retail. So it's gonna be a big raffle. So looking forward to that. We're soliciting the local business community for those that want to participate, and then we'll let you know where you can get tickets. Any of those participating sponsors can take us selling locations too. So. And a big thanks to the Partners Foundation for helping us out with this. So, other than that, summer camps are going strong, and working with several of the summer school programs, getting them out in our parks, doing some stuff, and kind of showing them around. So, and then I need to schedule a work session with you guys sometime in the next few weeks, depending on availability, Sounds like Tom, you're gonna be gone next couple weeks.
I'll be gone the next 2 weeks, and I'm gonna have they only give cataract surgery on Tuesday mornings, so they do it 2 weeks in a row. So the next time I look out over this assemblage, I will have a clearer picture of what goes on out there.
That may not be a good thing.
Just a word to the
Are you
wise.
sure about this?
And so, August 2nd, we'll be back then. So if we could do a work session, I was thinking maybe after the
I
supervisor.
think we have one August 2nd.
So his is gonna be more of a tour.
What's
So
that?
his is gonna be more of a tour. So if you wanna do
Yeah.
the one with Krista and then do his after, or if you wanna do a different day, that's up to you.
I've got you at 10 o'clock on August 2nd with the landowner coming.
Yeah. We can't do it August 2nd.
Okay.
You can do what you want, I'm just telling you that
No,
that will
no,
take
'cause that's the one we,
time.
that we've been putting that off, so. We
You
need to
want
get that
to,
taken care of.
you want to shoot for the 3rd, that's a Wednesday? That'll be the day of my board meeting, so. We'll schedule maybe.
I'd have to check my calendar.
I'll have to check the
Third,
calendar.
Let me know.
You'll check where Tom gets his cataracts fixed.
There's an idea.
Yeah. So let me know on that, maybe we
Yeah.
can just schedule it ahead of our next board meeting.
Sounds good. Thanks, Chris. Ken Heinzman, seal reading.
Good morning. Tomorrow we have our stakeholder meeting in the morning, and then we've got advisory boards and then governing board tomorrow afternoon. I know one of the things I mentioned for Rodney's information, that the lease agreement for my building is on the governing board agenda for tomorrow afternoon, so we should get something back after that. So that's about all for now.
Okay, thank you. Let's get back to Angie Vaughn, safety.
Good morning. I really don't have anything new to report, just keep them busy and
We'll give you some Carter's time if you find some.
he'll take up plenty.
Okay, thank you. Janelle, how's the treasurer's office?
Good morning. I'm gonna keep this moving right along. I have nothing new to report. Because I know we're all anxious to hear Brian.
You know, you really.
I haven't heard his voice in a little while.
Poor Brian. Yeah, we kind of missed him.
Yeah.
I can tell.
Kristen Poggemar, how's the public health?
Good morning, we're doing well. As was mentioned, we're looking at maybe doing a work session. We've had some concerns voiced about some houses and buildings out in the community that may now be, or out in the county that might be causing some issues for their neighbors and people that live around them, so. Other than that, I have nothing new to report.
Okay. Mr. Carter, how's the secondary roads?
Fine, busy. I had a meeting this morning at 7:30 with the Levy and Drainage District. So Becky wanted me to pass on a hello and a thank you for your guys' support along the way. So she wanted me to make sure I said something to you. And other than that, I appreciate those guys making some time. They have meetings normally, I don't remember what time they normally start, but they came in at 7:30 so that they had enough time to sit down, and they had requested me to come. We just talked through projects. A lot of our projects do impact them in some way, shape, or form, and I want their input as far as things go. So so that was worthwhile, and appreciated their time on that. Upper Flint is open. I think everybody knows that by now, but I just wanna, had a little bit of dirt work to finish up, kind of just shaping and stuff. That got done, or it's getting done this morning. Get some final seating done, but it is open to traffic. It is nice to have that open. So appreciate people's patience on that. Already said something about August 2nd in that work session, so we called the landowner and got that on. I will still get something sent to you guys probably early next week, or drop it off or something, so that you guys can refresh on the ordinance and stuff. I have sent the ordinance and the code section to Trent. I have not heard back from him. So I'm sure he will get back. I emailed it. Trent says that's the safest way. And so that, he had that last week, and so I'm sure I'll cross paths with him, or he'll get back to me. Make sure there's not some other opinion on that we're missing. So that is in his hands also. I wanna remind you that there's a couple DOT closures that are county roads, because of the highway construction. Dodgeville's still closed. The subcontractor that's supposed to come in last week is playing the game of, we'll be there tomorrow, and it doesn't show up thing. And that's DOT, that's nothing to do with us, but it should have opened last week. Supposedly it's gonna open this week. I can't give you good information because I don't think there's good information to be had. Supposedly they're supposed to come in, get their stuff done, and then they can get that thing open, so. Dodgeville will open up sooner than later, just what that looks like, I can't tell you. Then the other closures are Pleasant Grove Road and 210th, which is across from the gypsum plant area. Pleasant Grove hopefully is only a couple weeks out, you know. That other intersection 210th, which is a low volume gravel road, that's got a long, they said it originally a month and a half when that closed, so it's gonna be a little bit longer. And then we had a blow up last week on Pleasant Grove Road. I wouldn't say that's a new thing, that's a theme actually for that road. We had that 95-degree day and humidity, and unfortunately that's not a good thing for old pavements. But we are gonna pivot a little bit. Where it popped in a section that we were already gonna do a larger patch as a bigger project. So it's too late in the year to put together the full size of project we were planning on, but to avoid wasting money as best as possible, you know, more or less come in, do a $10,000 patch right now and then tear it back out next spring. We're kind of pivoting, and I actually have a cover set of plans, or that I'm gonna have to get signatures from you guys at the end of the day or at the end of the meeting. And then they'll come back and pick it up, and we're gonna try to mail out plans at the end of this week and just do a larger patch, which we were gonna do as part of a bigger project. We'll now thin that down. It's still probably a $250,000 job, so we're not talking small money, we're just talking smaller than what we were planning. And go ahead and patch that area, hopefully before majority harvest gets going is kind of the idea. So it's all very short time frame. It'll be very interesting to see when we bid this thing. I think we're set up for a bid sometime right at the end of July. Becky and Sarah, I think, talked about dates.
Yeah.
And hopefully that thing can start up sometime towards the end of August.
How long of a project is that gonna be?
That one probably be about a month. We're targeting about 20 working days.
Okay.
So, if that's a straight month of dry weather, it'd be about a month. It could extend a little bit because of rain. That will be west of the Beaverdale turnoff. So that won't impact traffic from Beaverdale to Highway 61. It would actually be west there. So you're coming east of Danville Road, that's where that closure would be. So anyway, there's a lot more that needs to be done out there on that road, but if we go throw a patching job out there right now and try to get it done, if we even get bidders, it would be thrown out. This we could set up to go some full width stuff and hopefully get good bids from paving contractors more than just patching contractors. We'll see, we'll find out and see what happens. So that's something that I'm gonna, like I said, get your signatures on here today, and then the office is putting together final touches for a bid packet. Other than that, there's plenty of stuff going on. I would mention that our culvert crew is working, if you go far north end of Irish Ridge, it turns into basically a 40-foot gravel road. It's a really nice area through there, but it's narrow and tight, and there's a whole bunch of shallow culverts through there that have been problems forever, and they finally just decided to bite the bullet and move in and do kind of all of them through that section. So what we're doing is we're coming in, closing the road about 8 o'clock in the morning, doing a culvert, open it back up. And then the next morning kind of doing the same thing. We did a press release. There's not that many folks that live out there. There is some through traffic, but just for over the course of a week, they'll just have to work their way around and go a different direction during the daytime hours. So just to give you an idea, we are doing a project out there, and the ditching crew is up on Beaverdale Road and kind of slow headway, but making headway. When you get going and next thing you know, you have a concrete blow up and you pull your guys away, you just don't make the headway you want to, but limited resources, you go where you need to go. So anyway, otherwise plenty of stuff going on, but I wanted to mention all of that. And if you have any questions, great.
Okay, thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
I don't think I missed anybody here. Going on correspondence. You don't have any correspondence?
I do not. The only correspondence I had was just on
was at Blunt Road, that road, I got a text yesterday that she had her 5th blowout.
Yeah, she left a note in our shed that she had her 6th. I can't do anything about that, so I wish there was a magic wand. It must have really bad luck because we haven't had any other calls from anybody else down there, so
She said there was more, and I felt bad for her, but I just encourage her to keep getting that. I tell everybody that lives on gravel, make sure you get the insurance that comes with your tires. There's just no guarantees.
We had a little moisture, he bladed it again. I mean, we're doing what you can. It's just there's not a lot of magic to work when you're talking about that situation, so. And the other thing I remind people is, you know, I know she's associated with just what's in front of her road, but she drives gravel any given direction to get all the way to a paved road. So exactly
There's
where
no guarantee
things
it's
are
even-
happening is not a guarantee either, but we don't have a magic solution. I mean, she's called, we've talked to her. It's unfortunate, I think we've all been there, but it's the nature of it. So we will just keep laying it up and trying to get it to tie down, but it's not real fresh rock anyway. So, and the road's in good shape, so hopefully her string of bad tires will get behind her and she can not have those issues. So we don't wish it on anybody, that's for sure. But thanks for saying something, because that's good to pass it on.
Okay, moving on to discussion vote, we have payroll reimbursement claims in the amount of $905.97.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Sarah?
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. We have department letters, cash on hand.
That's all public information, rather than go through reading each of those. Does anybody mind if we approve those in one motion? If there's no objection, I can make that motion.
I'll say we've got all the letters, so I move to approve.
Second.
Sarah?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yep.
Jim Carrey.
Yes, and we will, we will stamp these afterwards. Resolution 2022-51, final plat for the first edition of the Sunrise Ridge subdivision. Missed the last.
Sunset Ridge, opposite situation there.
What's that?
Sunset Ridge. In any case, that name should sound familiar to you because it was actually a subdivision that was just approved several months ago, the 3-lot Sunset Ridge subdivision, which was splitting up a large property that had access from Highway 61 south of Burlington, where it'd split the piece with the house on it and then 2 that would be used for farming. At the time, looking at how they had laid that out, it seemed like the way Lot 1 had 2 sections of farm field with timber in between, it seemed like it was already a situation where you could predict someone want to split that up again someday. Well, here we are not 6 months later, and that's exactly what we're getting. This is the basically just taking Lot 1 and splitting it into 2 parts, with Lot 4 being the southernmost 8 acres of that almost 30-acre lot in total. And as it turns out, the person interested in purchasing this lot is also the one that bought Lot 2, which is the one with the house on it to the north. Evidently, they're interested in building a storage building for their tree trimming business, and we're interested in having a location with the frontage directly along the highway. So it's a pretty simple thing here. They'll just own those 2 non-contiguous pieces, both accessed from that same driveway. And so that driveway, as was noted with the previous subdivision, that's on a property that's actually owned by the electric company. It's been that way for decades, and before the previous subdivision, they set up and recorded a formal easement that would allow the adjoining landowners to continue using that as a means of access going forward. So that would apply to this one as well as the lots on the original subdivision. In terms of comments received, Brian had noted that we need to get comment from DOT since it's directly accessed from a state highway. We had already reached out to their access management person, and they had confirmed that as it currently exists, they're fine with the driveway. They would just need to, if they wanted to make any kind of upgrades, they just need to get a permit, work with DOT on that, which I understand is not the case. So with that in mind, I think that's all significant comments we got, so we would recommend approval of this one.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Sarah?
Tom Rucker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. And we'll sign these after the
Yep.
meeting, Jared. Okay, moving on, we have resolution 2022-52 for the final plat for the, is that pronounced Udi
I think it's Udi.
subdivision?
Yeah, this is a pretty simple one here. This is off of Summer Street, kind of at the section where there's a curve in the road, and then just past that, you've got a whole big row of homes on either side. So what's going on here is the Udis recently purchased a small half-acre lot with an older home on it, and then there's also a 50-plus acre property to the north, which had recently had a home built on it. Also, within the past decade, got new owners, and there's a fairly large pond and a little wooded area right behind that, the UD home, but it's located on the Hardee's property, and so the two owners had come to an agreement where the Hardee's agreed to sell that 2.5 acre section over to the UD's. So it basically just enlarged their existing lot to include that pond. And because it's more than well over doubling the size of their property, it triggers the need for a subdivision. So that's why we've gone through this process. So it's noted on the plat that the lot 1 is to be combined with the adjoining property currently owned by the UD's. And as Secondary Roads had indicated that they would need to use that existing access for the house for all of this property. No new entrances would be allowed, and that's consistent with their plans for this property to be simply expanded and continue using that same access. So that's all we have for this one. We recommend approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Sarah?
Tom Rucker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell, Jim Carrey.
Yes. We will sign these afterwards too.
Should also mention that one was approved by the city as well last week, so it's in the 2-0.
We have appointment letter for the Sheriff's Department, amended appointment letter. This is,
They just made a couple mistakes.
Yeah,
in
there's
there.
just a couple
This is
changes.
just a correction, so motion to approve.
Second.
Sarah?
Tom Rucker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. Okay. Now we have personnel action. We have a bunch of them here. We'll go through the first one here for Assistant County Attorney. And this is for, we're gonna have to pronounce the last name, what, Terry?
Cortucci.
Cortucci?
Cortucci.
Cortucci, okay, county attorney. Probationary is 6 months, probationary period is up.
What was that name again, Jim?
Could you spell that? Motion to approve.
Second.
Sarah?
Tom Rucker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Mortucci.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. Okay, now we have 10 of them for the correctional center, and we're gonna have 7 for the sheriff. And these are due to the new union contracts we signed,
There's a 60-month step now.
so 60 months, so. I'll read each one of these and then we'll do these. Holly Carpenter, 24-month step increase, $44,463, old rate. And that's 60 cents on that. New rate is $45,338.37. Next one is Cody Reynolds, correctional officer, full-time, 18-month step increase. His old rate, $43,501.25. The new rate is $44,463.60. Joseph Dahl, correctional officer, full-time. Anniversary, 60-month step increase from $45,943.08 to $47,733.07. Russell Elliott, correctional officer, full-time. Anniversary, 60-month step increase, $45,943.08 to $47,733.07. Darlene Fox, correctional officer, full-time. Anniversary, 60-month step increase, $45,943.08 to $47,733.07. Larry Grimm, correctional officer, full-time, 60-month step increase, $45,943.08. The new rate's $47,733.07. Tammy Hewlett, correctional officer, full-time, anniversary, 60-month step increase, $45,963.08, old rate, $47,737.07, the new rate. Travis Oliver, correctional officer, full-time, 60-month step increase, the new rate, previous rate, $45,943.08, the new rate, $47,733.07. Jeremy Parker, correctional officer, full-time, previous rate, $45,943.08, new rate, $47,733.07, all the same. Tracy Huffman, correctional officer, full-time, anniversary, previous rate, $45,943.08 to $47,733.07. Them are all on the,
Jim, I apologize, I spaced off there for a second. Could you go through those again?
Throw them at him, just throw them at him.
It's his cataracts, it affects his hearing.
Does that mean you're gonna approve these?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Sarah?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yep.
Jim Carrey.
Yes.
Now, before you read the next 7, they're all the same. So if you just wanna read the names in the first
Yeah.
one.
We shall
That'll
do
help you out a
that.
little
They're
bit.
all gonna be the same, so we're gonna just read their names. We got, Matt Brecken, deputy. It's the 5-year step increase, again, this is due to the contract. The previous rate, $62,809.51. The new rate is $67,287.62. Derek Gordy is the same, the 5-year anniversary step increase, the same amount. Brian Lukenager, deputy, the same amount on the 5-step anniversary increase. David Murgia, the anniversary, the 5-year step increase, same amount. Sean Phillips, the deputy, 5-year step increase, the same amount. We have Adam Lynn, anniversary, 5-year step increase, same amount. And Corey Whitaker, 5-step year increase, same amount.
Move to approve.
Second.
Sarah?
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Go ahead and get rid of these real quick here. You people are real patient with us today. I'm slow. But,
Brian's back, they were planning on being here for a while.
Take your time, take your time.
See, Herbert's got patience too, don't you, Herb?
Your meetings are about as exciting as ours are. Except we get off on side tangents that I have to bring us back from, so far you guys haven't done that, you haven't gotten off subject, but I'm waiting for you to do it.
Well, you should have been here a while ago.
Gotta reel them back in.
Reel them back in.
There always has to be somebody to reel them back in, you know?
Well, I figure that's the chairman's job.
Sir.
Good.
I'm disappointed the sheriff wasn't here this morning.
He's in training.
I saw an interesting donut meme. that I copied on my phone for him. I'll have to text it to him.
I can't remember where we were, but we were at a meeting, there were some donuts there, and somebody asked the sheriff if he wanted a donut. He's like, no, out of tradition, I don't do that, because then everyone wants to take pictures of the sheriff eating donuts, so he doesn't do it.
Colin could probably post it to YouTube, honors.
Yeah.
Okay, next we have reports. We have the auditor's report, fees collected for quarter of 2022, the recorder's monthly report for June, the recorder's monthly fees collected, the jail status 22, the Veterans Affairs monthly report fees collected 22, and general assistance monthly report for fees collected. And these reports will be on file in the auditor's office for your viewing at your discretion.
That'll be the last general assistance report you'll get from my office, but now you'll start getting them from Community Action, so.
Hopefully.
We have the regular meeting of the Board of Supervisors for July the 5th, 2022.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Sarah Doty?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. You gentlemen have any other business?
I have none.
I do not.
Future agenda items? I think we,
I have. I think we've been through those.
yeah, we've been through them already, so. Committee reports?
I have none.
I have none. So you didn't,
No, I've got none.
public input? We'll give the public 2 minutes. They call in at 319-753-8203, extension 4. That's 319-753-8203, extension 4. Or they can email board@dmcounty.com. That's board@dmcounty.com. And we'll give you 2 minutes to do this. Does anybody in the audience have anything to say? Awful quiet out there.
Go ahead and say it, Brian, it's killing you on the inside.
Let it out, man.
Good at internalizing.
Well, we were talking about the donut thing. I'll tell you guys, when I first started doing this job, I set up a big training down at the auditorium, and I brought different things in for everyone to have snacks, you know. And I made a comment to one of the officers. I said, well, I brought fresh fruit and stuff because I didn't want to appear to be a smart aleck and bring donuts. And they said, no, seriously, Angie, we love donuts. Bring donuts next time.
Because it tastes good.
You know, Zach brought donuts one day.
After a couple prompts from.
Yeah, I think it's about Jared's turn.
I said Jared hadn't done that yet.
You wanna make any comment on that, Jared?
He's staying out.
You wanna talk about land use? This guy's like a jukebox, man. He'll play, and now all of a sudden you got nothing to talk about. I'm glad we're recording this.
Got a little bit of time left.
I did talk to the contractor for that got our Highway 99 bridge, and it sounds like they're hoping to work on the bridge over winter time, if weather allows, so that's a good thing for our schedule.
Yeah.
So,
I just noticed that. Pick that up.
It'll be signed too.
Huh?
Signed too. The regular is put off mine to the wrong one. Nobody uses.
Another week, another mistake.
Yep. You just never bring it to anybody's
Did I
attention.
make it?
Shane.
Tom can't see it.
2 minutes.
I heard something out there I couldn't see who said it.
2 minutes are up, so with an eye, we're out of here.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Gentlemen, we'll be with you with the work station with Pioneer Cemetery in about 5 minutes here.
Y'all have a great day.
Are you done?
Okay, the Board of Supervisors here is with the workstation with Pioneer Cemetery. We have names, please, and who you are.
Herbert Price, I happen to be chairman this year.
Alan Moore, I'm just a member. Steve, excuse me, Steve Stoller.
Okay.
Trent Timberlake?
Okay. Before we get started, I talked to Frayne, the city hall up there.
In Danville?
Frayne Wagner.
Okay, in Danville, yes.
In Danville. And there's not gonna have to be a culvert put in there because it is a high spot. They're just gonna fill it in with dirt, so the only thing we really have to contend with now is the mailboxes and the one telephone connection. And the rest of it is gonna be up to what Trent's got on the 14-foot right of way with a tree in the middle of it.
Well, it's really on the one side.
Yeah.
It's a little bit to the south of the right of way.
Well, it's hard to tell where that right of way is at, because if you stand over here and look over at the fence, the right of way goes this way. If you stand here and look at the fence, it might be this way. So you really don't know how much you've got on that tree.
We really don't want to pay a surveyor to find out whether it's 3 inches that way or 4 inches that way, if we can help it. So we kind of go with our judgment. I don't think Leroy's got any problem with us doing what we're doing now. It's anticipation of his son, when he inherits the land, doing something. Leroy shared with me after you guys left at the, when we were out there, what his son's intentions were was to build a fence to the north of his driveway there. And that would block us from driving in the driveway and then veering onto the right-of-way to the north and then continuing to the cemetery. I don't think Leroy has any problem with us swinging around the tree. In fact, that was kind of the oral agreement he and I reached when this thing was finally settled. Well, here's how we want to do it, Leroy. We want to just pull in your driveway, pull out onto the lawn, and go around the tree. And he didn't seem to have any problem with that. This is an anticipation of the intentions of the son, what he's going to do when he owns the property.
Anybody talk to the son?
Steve, have you talked to the son?
He's yelled at us.
That's it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So communications broke down on that
Yeah,
end?
he's very agitated by the whole situation of them having to give up that ground that they were farming, that we took back as a cemetery. And I don't think there's probably much conversing with him about it.
What are the options, Trent?
Well, I think Jim hit the nail on the head. The reality is, we have 14-foot easement. We've not, historically not used it because we've been allowed access through the driveway.
Right, yes.
Right, so, but if Frame just comes in and puts in the dirt there, I think the only thing we might have to do is spread grass if he doesn't do it, or Leroy might spread grass seed. But the ditch there is not being used because, and they surveyed it, right?
Yeah, right.
So the water's not getting there, it's just there's a ditch, but it's a high point, so they're just gonna fill it in. We don't even need a culvert, because there's no water that's going through there. So the question is, I think the only thing we need to do now is contact those people to get permission to move the mailboxes. We'll have to pay for 3 new mailboxes and have somebody put them in, right?
Would we really have to do that? Because they are in the right of way.
Can we move the existing mailboxes?
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, but that's just something that's gonna have to be done to
Yeah.
access that. And so that's the question is, one, who's gonna contact them, and 2, who's gonna do it? Is Frame gonna move them and put them, to the right or the left? Now, honestly, I think.
Whose mailboxes are they?
So one's Scott's,
I mean, are these relatives of Leroy or Frank?
No, so all the mailboxes are on that side of the road.
Yeah.
So that the post office only goes down the one side of the road, the part of the postal truck.
Babcock, Scott, and, can't think of the other one.
Is one of them Leroy's? One of them Leroy's?
I think it is.
Yeah.
Well,
We'll have to look and see. We have 3 mailboxes to move. But I think we have to get permission to move them even though they are in the right of way. Or at least give them notice.
The post office department itself probably will want an input on what we do. That's my experience with the US Post Office.
Yeah, they're not gonna let us move them across the street, for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
It'll just be moved further down a little bit, right?
Yeah, and I think for 2 of the people, if we move them north, they would be on board, would probably prefer it. And the other one of the 3 would prefer that we move south.
That would be Leroy.
But I mean, you could still do that anyways, though, couldn't you, as long as they're on the same side? You can.
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
Refresh my memory just a minute. They were farming, Leroy was farming in the area where that cemetery is now for some time. Did he
least
own that?
maybe had livestock.
And so he did not own it, but they were farming it. And I remember, this has been, as you guys all remember, several years ago, he was unhappy about the whole thing, and finally, he saw the light or whatever. Anyway,
Got
he
paid too many attorney fees, is what would have happened.
well, whatever. Anyway, so, I guess is there any thought being given, if Frayne is this unhappy, he is not only unlikely to, do you any favors, he very possibly might make things hard on you with, at any opportunity.
Not Frank Laird is the son.
Laird, okay. Or whoever the son is, and I don't know.
I think there'll be a problem in the future, because I don't think he'll be rational about what he does in relationship to us. That's just my opinion of what his personality is.
And the whole problem is solving the crimes of the generation behind. Because when Leroy bought that piece of ground, the deed spells out that he got all of that piece of ground except where the cemetery is. So what's he do? He goes in and tears down the cemetery, sells the big stone to the cemetery out west of Danville.
Well, he hasn't moved. I don't know if there was money that he
It was, if you don't take it, it's going to the ditch.
Yeah.
So I mean,
one of the guys that's still living moved that.
Mhm.
I was talking to him about it, and Leroy gave it to him. He wanted to get rid of that stone, and that's one for,
Jager.
yeah. And,
We've got pictures of where it originally stood.
And he asked him at the time, he said, is this, he questioned him at the time, said, no, it's perfectly legal.
Leroy said that.
Yeah. Well, that's-
Basically, you've
that's-
got the story. When the church sold the property original, they sold it excluding the cemetery. No news about how big the cemetery was, exactly where it was, or anything like that. We found aerial photographs from the 30s that gave us a clue as to where it was. And Leroy agreed that that would be what we would decide the cemetery was. But there's no legal description in any of the deeds saying where it is or how big it is or anything. It just says the church sells the land that the church was on and that we own, excluding the cemetery. End of sentence.
And with the 14-foot right-of-way, we have a similar issue in that the only point of reference given is the fence line. It's 14 foot. So when you look at the deed, they have legal description and they do have it. They do have the Ways and Means description from a survey of the cemetery here, right? But then when you look at the legal description of this right-of-way, it merely says 14 14-foot from grantor further transfers to grantees a permanent 14-foot wide easement to the cemetery as shown on plat attached to as attachment B, which is filed September. So I guess it's on the plat. So that'll work. Yeah, that works then. I guess the plat just says fence line, but yeah, from existing fence, and there is no existing fence there. But say he comes in and he puts this fence along the side of the driveway or somewhere, it could make some, a little bit confusion, because it just referenced the plat, and then the plat, when it references the fence line or the right-of-way, it just says 14 feet from the fence line.
Does it mean
To really dork out. So the way to protect that is essentially to claim it, right? And to do something to mark it so it's known this is it. And then over time, if it's wrong, then it would be adverse and it would go to us anyways. But again, we're anticipating problems that we don't have yet. And anytime in the legal realm, and you guys see this all the time, I'm sure you guys have seen it too, you want to be prepared and you want to take steps to minimize the risk, but at the end of the day, anybody can sue anybody for anything, and you can't eliminate everything. So I think what would be best to do here is decide, okay, so we've got to move the mailboxes, and we've got to move the telephone lines. So who's gonna call a telephone company? Is the first question. Is that Frayne, is that me, is that you, is that one of you guys?
Well, if it's something we wanna make sure happens, it'd
Right,
probably be
right.
somebody.
Right, that's what I'm saying, let's pin the rows
Yeah.
for this, and then for the mailboxes, who's gonna get permission or notice to move them, and then after that, who's gonna move them, and then who's gonna fund it if it needs to be funded. I mean, we're gonna contract out for somebody to move these mailboxes, or are we going to say, Rodney, you guess what, you're up, this is a small enough project, you guys can do it, or are we gonna talk to Frayne, do you think he'll do it?
I would guess Frayne won't do it. I
Yeah, I
think
don't
that's a
think
lot
he
to
would.
expect. Rodney's taking care of all the county buildings. I hate to send him, say, by the way, we're also gonna send you out to
No.
Danville.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, so I think
Yeah.
that's too much to expect of Rodney.
So is that something we contract out and then?
I can't see Frayne doing it either. They got,
No, I don't, it doesn't sound like he's gonna do anything to facilitate this.
Bill, or a huge bill on
No,
that contract.
no, yeah, it'll be a pretty small one, but, yeah.
Yeah, let's get it done.
Or does your board have people that can do that?
And money to do it with, we're.
Well, do you have a contractor that does stuff like that?
No, we've got a tree contractor that we have a relationship with to take care of down trees, but and for the culvert we're putting in at Siefken, we're using the county as our contractor, and then we pay them. So we're taking it out of one pocket, and putting it in another, which is fine. That's what the maintenance account is. So we use the county roads people for the culverts at Siefken. And we've never moved mailboxes or dug post holes.
Who's gonna do the pole? Would you say it was a phone pole, telephone pole, or?
No, it's a junction box, one of those metal boxes that 100,000 little wires comes in.
So there's.
square that comes up out of the ground.
That would be the utility company.
So.
Yeah, they're gonna have, the telephone company eventually will have to move that. They're workers, they're not gonna let us.
They got two of them there. They
So
got
to
one
get-
fiber optics, but I think the fiber optics might be real close to being in there. You can't tell. But if they move the one, then you've got plenty of room.
Yeah.
Well, right, there's I think there's several, there's like 3, I think, out of the 4 that we want moved. But what Frayne's saying is, so in order to turn right off the road into our right of way, there's the ditch, and then there's also several telephone company utility ups where it just comes up and they connect. 3 of the 4 are all old. So for old phone lines.
That aren't being used anymore, or?
We think not, because they just ran all of the high-speed data, that fiber. So one of them's a fiber. If we ask them to move that, I think Mike might blow a gasket. Or is he Matt? Is Mike, what's his?
Mike who?
Pencil. Tim.
Tim.
Tim Pencil, Mike's
Tim.
Second command there.
Okay, yeah. So I think there might be some issues if we asked them to move that one, but it's right on the end, I don't think we need to move it. But those other ones that are, we think those are abandoned probably because they're old technology. If not, they could probably move it pretty low cost. I don't think there'll be a problem. The question is just who's gonna call, right? And I can call them if you want.
You appear to be the one that's most familiar with exactly what has to be done. And I would guess that this is something the county fund, this is for Pioneer Cemeteries. And these guys very thoughtlessly forgot to put that in their budget.
I think we made budget last fiscal year. We overspent mowing and underspent maintenance. We did okay. We're not bad guys.
Okay. So I can email notice or permission to the post office and the owners of those boxes. Let them know, hey, we're gonna move them. We have it right away, and we need to access it. I'll get a letter out to Tim, and then, I'll probably call him too, or email him at least. And then, the question that's left is who is gonna move those mailboxes? Because physically, before Frayne can go in there, he's gonna need all this stuff moved out of the way.
Yeah.
And maybe Frayne's gonna coordinate all that.
Does
It
he
might
need to
be I
move
call
them? Does he need
Frayne.
to move that stuff to put his fence in?
There's no plans.
Why would he move it?
I don't know, Frayne.
Oh, Frayne, okay, I keep
not-
thinking that's
not
layered, not layered, okay, yeah.
Frayne's the city guy.
Okay. And maybe, unless it's changed over the years, I've moved mailboxes, it doesn't require a great deal of skill or,
Did you have to meet certain criteria set down by the post office?
I just moved them a few feet, they were still back far enough away from the curb or
You
wherever
did the
it
best
was.
you could and hoped that they didn't.
No, I never heard about it after I did it.
You must have done good then.
Yeah, must have. Well, I don't think I ever, remember too, and I don't think I moved them 2 feet. I did move them just a little ways.
The mail carrier, if we would take those 3 mailboxes, separate them into 2 here and 1 there, I think the post office would want to have some input into our doing that. That's my experience.
You could ask them, yeah.
That's my experience with the post office department.
Or at least letting them know that that's the
Yeah.
plan, so that
What
everybody's
you're
on the
doing,
same.
you're putting one more stop on them, and they
Yes.
don't like that.
They want input on all of that stuff, so, at least that's my experience with the post office.
How soon's the dirt gonna be done? Is that
They
BC's?
won't do the dirt until everything's moved.
Okay.
Yeah, they can't, they really can't, because
I wasn't sure if that was something that had to be done right away, or.
No.
the mailbox has gotta be moved, and that phone jack's gotta be moved too.
And as far as paying for that, what we would initially do, we'd have to ask Cheryl, is take it out of the Pioneer Cemetery budget, but at the end of the year, depending on where you guys are, then we would have a budget amendment to add that to your budget, but rather than have to do something like that now. In other words, so if you're spending X number of dollars, we'd take that out of your, but we would put it back in at the end of the year.
Thank you. We anticipate that we're done with our tree work unless we have a storm. So our maintenance next year, I anticipate personally, will not be as high as it was this year. We're gonna have to move some money from there to mowing. We might be able to, but we'd appreciate if we ran out of money. Because if we have a storm in April or in June or something and need to clean up a cemetery with down trees, we're in bad way.
I don't think anybody up here disagrees that this is not something that we anticipated in the budget.
Yeah.
No.
And it's not a major expense.
I'm all for paying Tom $5 a mailbox. He's
know,
on the steel erection.
But I'm not talking to anybody.
Shane, is that a formal motion?
You know, can I get a second, Jim?
This is a work session.
I mean, I don't know about broker, but like, you know, we might be able to get somebody like him that's partially retired that likes to
Yeah.
still fiddle and,
You
yeah,
know,
that's kind of right in his.
sitting there
wheelhouse.
thinking about moving them and putting up new posts. Might be the best, just put up new posts,
Mhm.
then you can just jerk them out, move the box, the mailbox itself on top.
To the new post.
That new post.
And that's what I did, is when you try to pull out an old one, there's enough concrete there that I didn't
Find
wanna
out.
dig up the whole street,
That's
so.
what I think I would end up doing, is just get 3 new posts, give them a new post, but then if they want a new mailbox, they have to put it on themselves.
Yeah.
Huh?
Cause then, I know Frank could go up there with a backhoe then, and I could talk to him, and I know he would, he'd tie a chain around that, and he could pull that right out of the
If
ground.
they don't have a cement base holding them in down at the bottom.
Well,
We'll find out.
That doesn't pop out quite so easily.
that's why they said he got that backhoe.
Well, you got chainsaws.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the two will get it.
I think we got a plan then, if you're gonna contact the phone company
Mhm.
and the post office,
Mhm, I'll get letters out,
okay, and I'll talk to Frank,
I'll talk to Frank.
and it's okay for you guys to buy new posts?
It's okay with me, okay with
Yeah.
Shane.
Yeah, you don't know whether they're rotten or not.
Yeah.
I mean, you pull them out, they may
So-
not be good to use.
So buy 3, we'll furnish the post, but we'll leave the actual mailbox.
And somebody will reach out to Frainers or the post office or whoever
Mhm.
who knows who to talk to and say, is there any particular rhyme or reason when we move these?
Yeah, when I send the letter out, I'll send to the post office as well. I know that they have like standoffs and they're very particular about wanting it really close to the road.
And a certain
Um,
height.
In a certain height, yeah, so all of that, they're very persnickety about. But, other than that, the main thing is they don't wanna have to pull off the road
Right on.
to be able to get that mailbox, and it's closer than what,
Some of
the guys running the snowplows want, so you got this kind of back and forth, but, they're really, like, some of them on Ash Street, I swear I dodge.
That
when I'm
Ash-
driving.
I can't go down my street, Old 34 coming in from the west. I have to go out and around the mailboxes there, my mirrors will hit them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, they want them really close.
And I mean, that's close.
Yeah, yeah. So, that's the big thing there.
I think Tom should call Leroy.
We used to, I had a crawler crane. The pads, it was 17 or 18 foot wide, and you could get permitted with it. And I had a trucking company that would haul it all over Iowa. And I know they took out mailboxes periodically.
I think I
Nobody
saw-
ever called me.
I think I saw a video of that on YouTube, I'm not sure.
Okay, we got a plan, so I'll talk to Fran,
Okay, perfect.
and you contact the post office and the telephone company.
Yeah, I'll give them 14 days, I'll give them both 14 days, they'll get sent out tomorrow, I'll give them 14 days to contact us.
Who's gonna go out and buy the post?
Yeah, then after that,
Whoever's gonna, if you found somebody that's gonna change those mailboxes.
mhm, yeah.
we just-
Well, if that's coming out of our budget, if we know what they want for posts, we can do that. You know, I'll go out and buy them if I know what they
Yeah,
want.
Okay.
Cause like we got one, we're getting, they're redoing my driveway, so I just, put that on, like, hey, while you're having dug up, just redo the post office box, or the mailbox. But, we got one with a kit, and it was like a traditional, just a U-shaped post that you pound in, and then it has a cover that goes over the top, and then that cover, you know, screws into the back. So, I mean, so that's even simpler than putting in a full-on, you know, 4x4 in the ground with, but, you know, who knows?
But if they want all three boxes mounted on one post, they need to specify what they want for a post.
Yeah, yeah.
They won't be bashful, they'll speak up.
You're gonna have to have one call there, because you got them phone lines running through there, that new fiber optics runs through that side of that ditch, so.
Yeah.
Have to make one call.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, and everything's there, but the new fiber, that's super expensive stuff, we don't want to add.
But I question whether them are dead, that other one, because some people in town did not sign up for that fiber optics.
Well, right, out of the three, I know Fran seemed pretty confident that those are, but they're all old. So I imagine what they'll do is they'll be able to pull the three and put a box right behind the fiber box.
Yeah.
And then if we, and I know there was the talk about putting a sign, if we put a sign there, and part of it is just so that it's easier to see and it doesn't get hit when people are pulling in with the truck or trailer.
When I moved to town in '84, there was a sign there that said Pioneer Cemetery back there.
Oh, it did?
Yes. That was along the road, and I've asked some of the old timers there, yeah, there used to be a sign there, we don't know where it went. There used to be a sign there that said Pioneer Cemetery.
So, all right, so
Traditionally, we don't put signs out on the highway directing people to Pioneer Cemetery because of vandalism. We figure if people know where it's at, they've got an interest in being there, right to be there. People don't know where it's at, they don't really need that information. In fact, we took down a sign at Flint River Township Cemetery for that very purpose, that we didn't want people going back to it that had no business back there. But in this case, we will re-examine that and revisit it and see what we decide to do, which will be all our expense, of course. Put up a sign along the highway.
That would be something to upset the sun.
I don't think it takes much.
No.
Well, this is all based on the assumption that I thought a couple times that Leroy might be immortal. He might outlive that boy.
He's we're working on the assumption that he's not anymore.
Related to Keith Jacobs?
He's immortal.
all right, anything else?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Steve, thank you, Alan, thank you for coming.
You want my name on